I don't think anyone sets out to be a drama VTuber, but it kind of just happens eventually, right? Well, not for everyone necessarily, but specifically towards commentary channels, people who talk about things. As somebody who's been recording and posting things for, I think, very close to a month now, if not already, you run out, eventually. You run out of things to say. If you're running out of like new ideas or even old ideas or just rambles, what do you talk about instead? Well, you talk about life, you talk about what's going on around you, and eventually that goes into drama. Eventually that enters a space wherein tea is involved. And I don't think there's anything particularly malicious or maladaptive about it, right? We talk about what's important to us, what's in our lives, and if you are, say, in the VTuber space, or in the video essay space, or in any space, when combat happens, when a fight breaks out, that's what you're going to tell your friend, right? That's what you're going to tell your body, or that's what you're going to tell your audience. So no, I don't think anyone sets out to be a drama VTuber, but the commentary to drama pipeline is very, very strong. You might have heard that to err is to be human. Well, to have takes is also to be human, right? To have opinions on things. We experience the world, and we experience the world fundamentally different from one another, right? That leads us to, have conversations and arguments and have different opinions on the same thing. We take the same stimulus, but it's because in our little rat brains we're different people. We end up disagreeing, and disagreeing causes conflict. And when conflict happens, people find themselves drafted to one or the other sides, and eventually you have drama again, right? And I don't want to be a drama VTuber or drama tuber at all, actually. I find that stuff misery business, personally. I don't like making content or expanding off of the pain of people, even if they are not good people or they would quote-unquote deserve being picked at that, I feel like that is inherently mean-spirited or goes out of the way to make one person or the other feel bad. I don't want to be the perpetrator of violence in any degree, and I've been privileged enough to not have to. And I'm not going to start for content. Additionally, a fear of mine is in sharing my thoughts, I am more vulnerable to you now than I have ever been. I'm already showing you my flubs. I'm showing you the edits and the ums that I leave in, right? And ultimately, after you watch those videos, after you look at me for all those things, my little mistakes, my little raw edits, my bad takes, you're not going to see me again, very likely. Very few of you are actually subscribed to me, those of you who watch. Believe it or not. And I appreciate the repeat business. But for the average person, for the person who doesn't watch more than 2 or 3 of my videos, I'm likely not going to see you again. And I don't want the impression you have of me necessarily to be me talking smack about somebody or talking down to somebody. I don't like sharing my opinions that much either. I think having silly opinions, like I don't like cars, is easy for me to sort of bring out. There's something about the absurdity of it. I have a commenter in my comments who talks about how their favorite means of starting a conversation is saying the most absurd, extreme version of what their actual point is and see who bites, right? And while I don't necessarily agree with that vibe, I do respect the hustle, because that is the text equivalent, that is the conversation equivalent of clickbaiting. And I'm not sure if they realize this, or maybe they do, but I find it easy to give parts of myself that I don't feel make up necessarily the content of who I am, my character, who I am as a person. I'm very comfortable talking about mental health and my lack of it, because it feels like an intrinsic part of knowing me. It feels like that the kind of stuff that people would like talk about in the 4th or 5th date is, I think, stuff that you'd pick up on from the first 2 or 3 conversations of knowing me. So believe it or not, like mental health, therapy talk, all that stuff is surface for me. While it might be deep talk for a lot of people, right? I'm scared of giving my opinions, my takes, because what if you don't like them? What if that's the last impression you have of me, of disagreeing with me, of being frustrated with me, of shaking your head with me? And I imagine that's the final interaction with a lot of creators, really, because at some point, your creator will betray you in one way or another. I don't know. Then again, you have to have skin in the game to stay in the game, right? being blank, being featureless, being a canvas that people project onto only works with people who have the most imagination, right? Who can project what they want onto you. If you don't give yourself, people will make a self up for you. And that can be helpful. That can be helpful somewhat for the people who are really into you. But for the person who's trying to interact with another person, who's trying to watch another person, who's trying to sort of get to know you through your videos and that sort of light, parasociality light that we've all subscribed to, it's hard. It's hard to really dig your teeth in. Who is this person? Some people can create a whole mental image of a person from as little as a 15-second clip, let alone one video, let alone one stream. And those people are the people who are like the diehards who follow you into the war. But for everyone else, you need to give some of yourself up. Because it needs to be somewhat reciprocal. They give you their time, and you give them yourself. But maybe I'm being precious with myself. Like, I had another, like, workshopping video in mind, right? Where I was thinking, like, has my barometer for my personal safety been broken? How much stuff I've spilt on stream, on YouTube? No. The more we share of ourselves, the more real we become to you. And having real, quote-unquote, real opinions on things that you care about as well is one of the strongest ways to create that relationship, right? Because more than being a content creator you follow, if I agree with you on a topic, I become your ally. And that would be nice. It would be nice to be an ally of a lot of people. It's good to be an ally. But what I don't want to be is an enemy. And that's what scares me the most, right? The idea of being an enemy to someone. Of having a nemesis. Maybe I have one out there right now. Maybe I'm talking to them right now, my next nemesis. But I have to imagine that drama tubers and commentary tubers who talk about drama have to have the thickest skin, or have to have such a level of enlightened self-centeredism, right? Not to say selfish, but to say things outside of them don't dig through their skin and just go straight to their heart. I wonder, is it an eventuality that a content creator who talks will eventually become some kind of news or commentary channel? More than anything, I think it's hard to make content like that isn't mean-spirited. And I don't expect that out of anyone either, but it's hard to be hopeful when covering the news, because what bleeds leads. And the thought of making anyone bleed, or the thought of profiting off of anyone's bleeding, makes me somewhat sick. Ding ding ding, 10 minutes.